Hello, my name's Alex and I'm one of the roving chefs that works for Vegetarian for Life. Now in this short training video aimed at domiciliary carers, I want to look at some of the specifics when you're caring and catering for an older vegetarian or vegan. Now, you may already have someone that you look after that's vegetarian or vegan, so I hope that I can add a little bit of information and support for you. But also, if it's something that you're unfamiliar with, then I hope to send you on the right track. So, let's just talk about some of the definitions of vegetarianism and veganism. I'm going to look at shopping tips. I'm going to look at some catering towards the end. I'll do a little bit of cookery, and also some of the resources that Vegetarian for Life will provide for you. So first things first, as you know, of course, all domiciliary care, and in fact all care, should be person-centred. So you might think, well, what's the difference between caring for an older person or someone who needs extra support in their own home that's vegan or vegetarian and that's not? Well, both is person-centred, but the only difference, of course, is their diet. So all those good practices that you have looking after somebody in their own home, it's the same principle but for vegetarians and for vegans. So it's really kind of looking at some of their dietary requirements and kind of having some empathy and understanding why that person may have adopted a vegetarian diet, but also, you know, as part of your role is to support them so that they continue enjoying their vegetarian or vegan diet. So let's just start off with a few basic definitions, shall we? Now, you may have a preconceived idea of what a vegetarian eats or what a vegan eats, but I really want to just get straight to the point and get a clear definition. So a vegetarian is a person that doesn't eat any meat, okay? But they will eat eggs, and they will generally have milk. They won't eat fish, okay? Now I know there's going to be people out there that say, well, I know someone who does, but let's start with this point and we'll develop that a little bit later. So what about vegans? We do see a lot of information these days and recipes saying this product and this meal is vegan. What's a vegan? Well, a vegan, I kind of think of it as being a strict vegetarian. So as with vegetarians, a vegan doesn't eat any meat or fish, but they also don't have any animal products at all. So that means no dairy products, and no eggs, and no products that have got those in. So it's not just a matter of like, well, I won't give them scrambled eggs or fried eggs on toast or something like that. Anything that's got those products in, you need to avoid. Now, most vegans also avoid honey as well. So you do need to check, you need to speak to the person that you care for, if you are doing some shopping for them or doing some cooking for them, that you buy the things that they want to have in their home. Okay, so having said that, okay, there will be a few nuances. Now, some vegetarians will not have eggs in their diet. Some will only have free range. So you really need to talk to them. And some vegans may have honey, you know, but the strict definition is a vegan is a person who has no animal products whatsoever. So it's no meat, no fish, but also no dairy products, no eggs, and no honey. And a vegetarian is a person that will avoid meat and fish and any sort of slaughterhouse products. So like, you know, rennet or isinglass, any of these sorts of things which you kind of find in sort of different sorts of products and foods, they will avoid. Now I'm going to talk about a little bit later how you can shop very easily to find all these products. So because I know that your time is going to be limited and you need to sort of, you know, go into the supermarket quickly if that's part of your you know, part of your duties, and get some nice food and come back. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But there's round about 2 million vegetarians in the UK now. This is going up and up and up, and around about 600,000 vegans in the UK. And again, this is going up and up and up and up. So if you're not at the minute catering for someone or caring for someone that's a vegetarian or vegan, it's likely that you will do in the near future. So if you're a domiciliary carer and you don't have any vegetarians or vegans vegans that you look after, then do stay till the end, because you're gonna soon. And it's also, you know, I've got some good practices as well for those that want to reduce the amount of meat that they have in their diet. So hopefully there's plenty for everyone in this short training video. So with all that great number, 2 million thereabouts, and 600,000 vegans thereabouts, there's going to be differences between what people want to eat and some of their motivations, why they're vegan or vegetarian. But the point is that when you're caring for somebody, you need to ask them what they want. It's always person-centered. So, you know, if they like this product or they don't like that product, they like it served this way, they like it served that way, you know, it's for you to find out. And they will express themselves if you ask them. You know, they won't hold back once they get going. But if you're coming with some preconceived ideas about what a vegetarian is, please leave those at the door as you go in, because you know, with such a large number of people, some are going to like those the fake meat products and the fake fish products, and others won't. Some will want to have a simple diet, some will want to have a very healthy diet, and others like to have lots of treats. You know, so you know, whatever they want, that's the key, really. Okay, so we've got the definitions. What about resources? Now, you'll be watching this, I guess, through a link through our website, and that is the first port of call. I would really direct anyone to that, because we've got lots of great resources on our website. So the first thing that most people look for are recipes. Now we've got loads of great recipes on there, a couple of hundred smashing recipes, and they're all kind of geared towards older people. And they're also not expensive. We don't have any recipes on there that use fancy ingredients or expensive ingredients. It's all kind of home cooking, healthy stuff. A few treats in there as well. So do have a look at that. I mean, maybe that you could spend some time with the person that you care for, looking at our website and sort of sharing some of the resources and some of the recipes. But with the recipes, we've got recipes for, you know, seasonal festivities. You type in a keyword, mushrooms or tofu or whatever it is, and you'll get a selection of recipes on there. So do have a look at the recipes on our website. There's loads of great things on there. We've also got information on nutrition. Now this is something that is obviously very important. It doesn't matter what point in your life, having a balanced diet is always important. But as we get older, our nutritional requirements change slightly. So we've got lots of information on there for you to have a look at. So do spend some time after this video and have a look at the information on nutrition. We've also got on our Facebook, on our YouTube, we do a monthly cookery demonstration or a talk, and it's normally themed around something that's going on that month. So it might be vegan, it might be to do with Easter, it might be to do with Christmas, all sorts of different things. So, I mean, that's the sort of thing that you may want to set up with the person you care for, so that they can know to watch it when it comes up. And of course, you can watch it as well, but it's something to, you know, so that they can enjoy at a later time. We've also got an e-newsletter and a pen pal scheme. Now that might seem sort of quite old school, but really it's still something that people like to do and have correspondence with other people with similar interests. So do have a look at that. We've also got online training for different people that cater for vegetarians and vegans. And lastly, we've got listings of care homes that come up to specific standards, and we've got around about 1,500 care homes at the minute, and that is all that's going up all the time. Now, there's a minimum set of standards that care homes have to meet before they get listed. For the basic package, we've also got a premium as well, which is slightly higher. So it may be the person that you're caring for is living at home at the moment, but it may be that they will need to have they'll need to go to a care home at some point in the future. So it's as well to to have a look at those, and you can search in the area that you live as well. And there's about 1,500 at the moment, but it is going up all the time. So do have a look at that. We've got all sorts of other things on the website too that may be of interest, blogs and letters and all sorts of stuff like that. So do have a look at that. It's a great resource. We've also got printed resources. Now, all the printed resources do appear on our website, so you can download them as a PDF or just read them for free, or you can order them. Now, we do ask for a small donation if you can afford it, just to cover the postage. So, you know, if you want to order a couple of copies, then we just ask for, you know, a couple of pounds to cover the postage. So, what have we got in terms of printed resources? Now, the first one that I want to show you is this one. This is veggie meals to your door. Now, inside this one, and this is pertinent to domiciliary carers supporting people at home, it's got a listing of various companies that will provide vegetarian and vegan meals, and they will deliver them to your door. So really it is something worth having a look at in here. So various companies in here and lots of different dishes, also vegan and vegetarian as well. So do have a look at that. That's really one of the key resources that you may find useful for the people that you care for. We've also got information on nutrition. Now, I will touch on some of the important elements of providing a balanced nutritional meal as we go on. However, you do need to have a look at this to make sure that when you're buying and you're shopping food, for food, or you're doing any cooking, that it is nutritionally balanced, or at least as much as it can be. So do have a look at this one, and this is BDA accredited as well. So independently accredited and checked that it's got all the information in there that you need to have to get a balanced diet as a vegetarian and a vegan. And just to answer the quick question, can you get a balanced diet as a vegan or a vegetarian? Of course you can. But like everybody, you need to make sure that you look at the food that you're eating and eat a whole range of different foods. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about nutrition as we go along. We've also got food fortification, and this is specifically for vegans. So there's lots of tips in here in how you can, when you're preparing simple foods, how you can add those extra vitamins and those extra calories that can be so important when someone's diet is waning a little bit, and they need to make sure they get all the good stuff that they need. So certainly worth having a look at that. I mean, I really recommend spending some time looking through all of the resources, because even though they may not be specifically, won't say domiciliary care on the top, it's still got lots of information in there that you may find useful. Okay, just a couple more. One of our latest ones is vegan textured modified food. Okay, so this is the IDSI food. For someone that's got that needs to have a modified texture modified food, so we've got a whole set of recipes in here which go across the IDSI levels. Now, it has got instructions on obviously how to prepare them to meet those standards, but I would recommend that you have full professional training before you kind of start providing textured modified foods. Obviously, when you read it, if you've got no experience, then you might sort of get something a little bit wrong. So it's important to make sure you get full professional training. But once you've got that, then this is going to be very, very useful to you. Okay, if you've got a little extra time, and I know that time will be short for many of you, we've also got a vegan baking guide. We brought this one out a couple of years ago when baking became the rage. There's some lovely recipes in there. One of my favourites, if I can just find it very quickly, is sticky toffee pudding. Let's just show you that one out. Sticky toffee pudding, it's absolutely lovely recipe, and it will freeze very, very well, so it's definitely worth a look at that. So we've got that one as well. well. And one last one, we've got veganising classic dishes. So if you want to, if you've got that extra bit of time, then you may want to have a look at that. However, we have got lots of other printed resources, so do have a look on our website. As I say, you can order them as you want. Now then, okay, so shopping. If part of your tasks are to go shopping for your client, then you may think, well, how do I start? What do I do? You know, if you're vegetarian or vegan, this is going to be second nature. But if you're not, then it may be a little daunting at first. So where do you start? So the first thing, of course, is to talk to the person that you care for, and they will make a shopping list for you, and you can go, and that's fine. It's really straightforward. But if you kind of like have to shop for someone and second guess what they want, and you think, well, it's going to be quite difficult shopping for a vegan or a vegetarian, it really is a lot easier than it ever has been. So imagine you walk into a supermarket. Often you have the fresh stuff as you go through the doors, all the fruit and veg. Now all of that is vegan. Okay, so you've got an array of fruits and vegetables from across the world, and all of it is vegetarian and vegan. Now, the person that you care for may not want to have mangoes, and they may want to have breadfruit and all sorts of weird and wonderful things, but all of that is accessible. Okay. So you can buy any of those. Now, I'd also recommend, if you're shopping for someone and they're going to do some of the preparation, obviously you talk to them about what they want to buy, but if you were to buy pre-chopped ingredients, then that person will be able to prepare fresh meals for themselves without doing all the chopping. And of course for you as well, if you're preparing a meal for somebody and you've got limited time, then you can buy things that are ready chopped and ready to go for sort of simple stir fries and things like that. I'd also recommend that you have a look in the freezer section, because you've got frozen veg in there and frozen fruit in there, and that's great for the store cupboard, frozen store cupboard, and it makes your life so much easier. You can buy cauliflower and broccoli and mashed potatoes and rice, all sorts of different products which you can just cook straight from frozen, which makes it a lot easier. There's less waste, and there's no trimming and all that stuff. So it saves you time, but it will also save your clients time as well. So do have a look at that. Tinned stuff, often pulses, dried pulses, also very, very useful to have a look at. Now then, I'm just going to bring my tray across, if you bear with me 1 second, because I've got, I can bring some of these over. So I've got a couple of products here that when you're shopping, you may want to look out for. Now, some of the basics are sort of straightforward. If you're shopping for a person that doesn't have any milk, so that'd be a vegan, there's a whole range of soya milks and plant-based milks. Now, do talk to the person that you are caring for, because some may not like oat milk, they might not like rice milk, and so once you know the brand, it's fine. These sorts of things are available in most supermarkets. Even the small corner shops stock these. So if you're running late and you need to pick something up, do have a look. The local store will probably have those. Now, some of these you'll find in the refrigerator section and some in the ambient section. So if you're sort of looking for the particular product and you're in you're assuming that it's milk, it's soy milk, it'll be in the chiller section with the dairy milk. It won't necessarily be there. So just take a few times visiting the supermarket to familiarise yourself with where things are. Also, dairy products, butter alternatives. There's a whole range of products you can get there. Like Flora do one. There's one called Pure, and these are really good substitutes for I say they are what they are, not substitutes for butter and those sorts of things. So if you're doing any baking, you've got that, or for the toast in the morning, really easy to find them. And there's a whole range of different products. Some are a little bit more expensive than others, but you will find those in the frozen section. Now, other things to look out for, those extra bits, mayonnaise. I mean, going back, it's a well-known brand here, but it just doesn't exist. You have to make your own. These days, you can find a whole range of these sorts of products, and it adds to a pasta salad or potato salad, sandwiches, all sorts, those sorts of things. And it's just a little squirt, and you can put it on and enjoy. So it's really, really easy to find and to use these days. Now, you also may want to look out for, if I can find a symbol on here somewhere. Let's have a look. Has Linda McCartney got one? Yes, okay, so product Linda McCartney. I'll talk about those in a second, but generally, if you're looking for a product and you want to know whether it's vegetarian or vegan or not, then obviously you can just look at the ingredients and it will tell you what's in it. But obviously a simpler way is to check to see whether it's got a suitable for vegans or vegetarians marker on there. And it really is, most products these days do have them. Even things like baked beans will have a listing on there. So easy to find those on there. And if you can see that it says vegan, and it will be. So do have a look out for that. Now, occasionally products are vegan or vegetarian, but they don't label them. So how will you know whether it is or it isn't? Well, another way is to look at the allergen labels. So if it says that it's got crustaceans in there, or it's got mollusk, or it's got milk in there, then obviously it's not going to be vegan or vegetarian. So you can that's another sort of little way of doing it. But to be honest, these days most things are labelled. And often in the supermarkets you'll find a section which is specifically for vegetarians and for vegans. Now this does vary, and there's a number of supermarkets that like to mix things around, so you won't necessarily find them in one spot, but often they are. Now, products that you may want to buy, familiar store cupboard products. Linda McCartney, I lifted these up. This Linda McCartney company was not the first big commercial company, but it was one of the first ones back in the 1980s, and they have a whole range of different convenient foods, so sausages and sort of soya mince and things like that. And these are really useful to have in the store cupboard, so that you can just cook something up, sort of that's like a midweek tea, that sort of thing. It's a whole range of these. Now, not all of the Linda McCartney products are vegan. Some are vegan and some are vegetarian, so do have a look on the packet and it will tell you. They also do things like pies, which is great to have in the freezer. Then all you need to do if you're preparing someone's meal is to pop them in the oven, and then maybe cook a few veg to go on the side of that, just to sort of balance it out nutritionally. But really lovely product. So have a look for Linda McCartney. Now, other brands too that you may want to look out for. I'm going to be cooking with this towards the end. Corn. Now, corn is a really good source of protein, but not all of the corn products are vegan. They're either vegan or vegetarian, so you need to look. Now, this one is particularly, it's not confusing, I guess, but this is vegan pieces. It's sort of like, I guess, like a mock chicken type piece. Now, some are vegan and some are vegetarian. The ones that are vegan are clearly labelled vegan on the front. But if you were in a rush and you went into the supermarket, you saw the corn, and you might just grab them and not check that it's vegan. So do check for that. But it's a really useful product for that. And they make sausages and mince and it's like deli slices and all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So do look out for that. Now, some of the people that are vegetarian like these kind of fake, I say fake, these sort of faux meat products, but not all. We're a broad church. Now, do talk to the person that you cater for, because some will like these things. Personally, I do like these. I do have these quite often. But others want to have things that are less processed, because obviously these are processed foods. So things like beans and lentils, pulses. Now it may be a cliche to say, vegetarians or vegans have lentils. Well, we do have lentils, and they're cooked. You can use them in a whole different range of dishes, soups and chilies and curries, casseroles, all sorts of things, and they add a lot of value in terms of fibre and also protein as well. And they're not that expensive. I hesitate to say they're cheap because it's difficult to say what is cheap these days. Other things are really straightforward. Baked beans. Simple baked bean. If you've only got 5 minutes or so and you're going to make something warm for the person that you care for, then baked beans in the microwave, served with on toast is really great. Or you can put your jacket potato in the microwave. It won't be as crispy on the outside, but still be nice. And then some beans on the top. And you could also put in some, if it's vegan, you could put some vegan grated cheese on the top if you wanted, or if they were vegetarian, a little bit of grated dairy cheese on there. So do have a look out for that. Now, other companies, and this is where it doesn't get confusing, but Richmond. Now you may be familiar with this one. This is a meat-free, and it clearly says meat-free. However, this brand, Richmond, do also meat products. So if you're in a rush and you saw the brand and it's the same colouring as the meat ones, just take a moment and then check that it says meat-free. I've also been in the supermarket and I've found meat products in the vegetarian sections because someone that's been unpacking them as kind of like, oh, that's where they go, it's a veggie version, and it's not. So it is worth just double checking. It's just happened a couple of times that I've noticed in my local supermarket, but it really is worth double checking. So have a look out for that. Just a couple of other brands that you may want to look out for, and these are sort of ordinary stuff. It's not fancy stuff, it's ordinary stuff that we'd have for our midweek tea, so it's easy stuff, things that you can do. So Plant Pioneers is a relatively new company, and they do all sorts of things like sausage rolls and stuff like that. So really nice, convenient, comforting foods. So in the freezer, when you arrive, you pop it in the oven, do all the other duties that you need to do, and then by the time you finish, these should be done, or nearly done, and then the person that you care for can have a nice warm meal. One last one that I will show you before I move on is this one. So many companies are producing a range of vegan and vegetarian products. So Birdseye, we're all familiar with Birdseye, and they have their range Green Cuisine. So some vegetarians and vegans like that sort of meat alternative that has a sort of bite-like meat, and others prefer less processed food. Now I know it's processed because it's all got squashed together, but it's still whole vegetables in here. So some may prefer that. So do have a look at the range of products that you can buy, food products that is, but also talk to the person that you care for to make sure that you're shopping for their requirements. Now that's food. I can talk a lot longer about different sorts of products that you can buy, but if it's first a little bit daunting, then you will soon become very familiar with it, and if you go into the freezer, you'll see the sections, and you read the label, and you'll see the vegan stamp on there, and it does get a lot easier, and it becomes second nature for you. Now, what about if you're buying other non-food products? Now, for many vegetarians and vegans, they won't want to have products that are tested on animals. So do look out for those products that they've got a symbol on there to show that they've not been tested on animals. Some of the motivations that people have to become vegetarian and vegan is to do with the welfare of animals. Also environmental issues as well. So when you're shopping, it's not just the food that you need to think about. It's also cleaning products as well. You know, some polishes may have beeswax in there. So if you're a vegan, then you won't want to have that sprayed about your house. And it's just these little things that just take an extra bit of care. And once you've got it, it's fine. You're sorted. But don't just think of when you're shopping for a vegetarian and vegan that it's just to do with food. It's also cleaning products and toiletries and those sorts of things. When you go shopping. Also treats as well. So this is sort of the mainstay of food, but also things like sweets and biscuits and cakes. Many of them will be vegetarian, not all, but some won't be vegan. So do have a look on the label for that. Now, one last thing before I move on with the shopping is a range called Free From. Now, Free From is a range of foods which you can find in Sainsbury's and Tesco and all the other supermarkets. And basically the idea is that in that product it is free from a certain thing, but it doesn't mean that it's free from meat and dairy. Some will be, some won't be. So if you're shopping and you think, oh, I found this free from product, it's going to be okay. Not necessarily. Have a look at it to see what it is actually free from. So it's worth just taking your time initially. Now, of course, if the person that you care for can come to the supermarket with you, all the better, and then you can work out together what you would like to buy. Okay, right. Let me move this to one side, if I may. Now, I want to talk very briefly about nutrition. Now, it's important that you do meet the basics with nutrition. So do have a look at your guide to make sure that you're meeting all the needs that you have. But you may have a certain number of questions in terms of how to cater well for a vegetarian and a vegan. And often I hear protein. Can you get enough protein as a vegetarian? Can you get enough iron as protein? And B12 is another one. Well, the answer is yes to all of those. You can, but like everybody, you need to make sure that you do get them in your food. So with protein, there's lots of great sources of protein. So if you're a vegetarian, then eggs and cheese, of course. But for vegans and also for vegetarians, because vegetarians can eat vegan food too, there's products such as tofu, which I'll be cooking with in a moment. Beans and pulses, mainstay, loads of protein in there, and also fibre as well, good for digestion. Seeds, nuts, the list goes on. Tofu, I mentioned tofu. Corn, another really good one. Soya products, very high in protein. Nuts, another one, very, very high in protein. And you can incorporate these products into a range of different foods. So it's not like you just say, well, that's like with your protein is going to be on the main part of your dinner. If you had a soup, you can add a handful of lentils in there or a few beans in there, and it's just going to add that extra bit. With your dessert, you could make a cashew cream, which is just a simple blend of cashews and soy milk blended together. Have a look on our website, you'll find that the recipe there, and that's it's a real creamy homemade cream. And there's loads of protein in that, so it's certainly worth having a look at that. Now, iron, it's another one I often hear. Can you get enough iron? Of course you can. Now, iron is available from a whole range of different places, but leafy greens is one of the good ones. So, have a look at your plate, and is it got a range of colours? Has it got some dark green stuff in there? And you will get some iron from that. B12, very important to get B12. Now, as I understand, you can't get B12 on a vegan diet from eating fruits and vegetables. So you will have to have something in your diet that is fortified. Now, we all eat fortified foods. If you had breakfast cereal this morning, you will have had 45 food. If you have white bread, it's 45. So you need to make sure that the products that you're buying for your person you care for it is 45, to make sure that you get the B12 in there. And it'll be in margarines, and I think in soy milk, all sorts of things in here. So you will get your B12 from that. However, not all products are fortified, so it's important to check that they are, to make sure that the person that you're caring for gets all the good stuff that they need. Now, for more information on nutrition, do have a look at our website and have a look at our guide, and you'll find all sorts of other tips in there and guidance to make sure that the person you're caring for gets everything that they need. Okay, right, now let's have a look. I'm going to do a little bit of cooking for you now. So I've got a couple of dishes that I want to prepare, which are really very straightforward, and you can use them in a whole different way. So the first one that I want to make for you, if I can just decide for turning around, is this one. Okay, so this is, you may wonder why I've got Bisto. I'll explain. This recipe is well, mushroom medley. Now we can you can turn this into all sorts of lovely food. So I'm going to switch my cooker on. So bear with me. It will make a couple of beeps. So the first thing I want to do is just to pop a little bit of oil into my pan and to get my onions in. There we go. Let's grab my spoon. There we go. Give that a bit of a stir. So, so this recipe is the reason that I wanted to show you this recipe is because it's really easy to prepare, but it's also very, very flexible in terms of how you can use it. So all the ingredients in here you can buy pre-chopped. So if you're short of time, you know, you can get those in. You can have them in the freezer. But it then can be turned into all sorts of wonderful different dishes. So I just want to sort of show you the basic of how you prepare this. So the first thing is, I don't want to assume that you can't cook, but some of you may not have as much experience. But you know, I just want to show you how easy it is to prepare. So we're going to start off by frying our onions. Now, if I can give you a little bit of a tip, is to fry your onions a little bit longer than you may already do, and you'll get a lot more flavour from them by doing so. So allow the onions, I'm going to speed this up a little bit, allow the onions to cook for 5 minutes or so. I'm not going to wait for 5 minutes because we can move on. I've also got some celery, so in we go with our celery. Now I've already chopped this up just to speed things along. Just want to give this a bit of a stir. I'll let that do its own thing. So, while that's just cooking, I'm just going to go through the ingredients. Now, it's mushroom medley. So we've got some mushrooms here. Now, if you're not a fan, or the person you care for is not a fan of mushrooms, don't discard the recipe completely. I know it's like, you know, it's a celebration of mushrooms, mushroom medley. However, you can put all sorts of different things in there. You can put aubergines in there, you can put courgettes in there, you can put sweet potatoes in there, all sorts of different things. So keep the base, leave the mushrooms out, and still enjoy it. But many people do enjoy mushrooms, but I just thought I'd point it out because I know some people aren't super keen on that. So in we go with our mushrooms. Now it may seem that that's quite a lot that's going in. They will cook down and reduce. Now any mushrooms are fine. If you want to use the fancy ones, use the fancy ones, but you know, the cheapest ones will work just as well. So just want that to cook for a few minutes. Now I'm also going to add some corn. So this is I was mentioning earlier, so this is the corn vegan pieces. Now, if you're catering for someone that's vegetarian and not vegan, obviously you can use it for the veggie version. But in terms of texture, they are very, very similar. Slightly, I mean, there's a slight difference, but really is only a small difference. Now, if the person that you're caring for doesn't like these sort of meat analogues, then again swap it for a pulse, swap it for kidney beans or butter beans or fourragère beans, something like that. Really is still a very nice dish. So in we go with that. So the whole dish, I'll move these out of the way and it's a bit more space. A whole dish in terms of this sort of preparation time will only take about 20 minutes. From there, you're ready with a whole number of ways to use it. So you can, I just lean over the steam, you can turn them into lovely pies. So you buy these great pie cases. So once it's cooked, you put your filling in here, you buy some pastry. Now do check that it's vegetarian or vegan. Now Just Roll do a vegan puff pastry, which is great. So you just roll it out, cut it out, trim it. You know, you can put a little V with the offcuts of pastry on the top, and at that point you can pop it in the freezer. So all your client needs to do is to put it into the oven to cook, or you can cook it straight away as it is. But a really easy way to create a wonderful pie filling. Of course, as we were talking before, you know, brands like that make it a lot easier. But I do turn this into a pie regularly, and it is lovely. So it's getting a bit steamy. It's getting a bit steamy in here. Right. Okay. So we've got that. Now then. I've also got some garlic in here. Now, do talk to the person you care for. Some people like garlic, some people aren't so keen on garlic, so do talk and ask what they like. Now, you can buy, which I'm sort of getting quite into these days, you can buy pureed garlic and ginger as well in little tubes, and it just saves that chopping and you know, peeling and stuff. You just squirt it in and it will do its job nicely. So we're nearly done. Sorry, disappearing behind a cloud of steam. We're nearly done. So I'm going to add some paprika to this. Now the paprika is going to add a little bit of colour and flavour. You could put in anything you fancy. So if you want to turn this into a curry, you can. And I'm also going to put in some stock in there. There we go. Now then, on stock, okay. Do check whether the stock cube, obviously you're not going to put chicken stock in there or fish stock in there or beef stock in there, but do check that it is a vegetarian stock cube or a vegan stock cube. Now, just because it's a vegetarian stock cube doesn't necessarily mean that it's a vegan stock cube. So it is important to check which way it is. So I lift this up and you can see it, hopefully you can see it beyond the steam. We're nearly done, It really is, it's cooked. All the corn really needs is for it to be heated through. So if I just lift that through, and then we have, sorry about the beeping, you end up with a lovely stew, or a pie filling, or you could serve this with pasta. You could put it with a jacket potato. So I want to add some cream to this. So this is a really lovely product you can get these days. It's Elm Lee, and they do a plant or vegan cream, but also it will whip, which is really useful if you're going to make some cakes or some scones or something like that. So let's add a good dollop of cream in there. Just makes it lovely and creamy. And let that do its thing. Now, to thicken this, you can use some corn flour, old school, or, which is why I've got our gravy granules. You can add a few gravy granules to this. Now, you may be wondering, well, I thought this was going to be a vegan dish, and I've got Bisto. This particular one is vegan, and it always has been. Do check the label, okay? Because Bisto do a whole range of different gravies. So let's sprinkle some of those in until we end up with a nice consistency. So just add by using the gravy granules as well, it will just come on this side, so avoid the steam. It will just add thickness to it, but also a little bit of extra flavour. Let's put a bit more in there. There we go. And that'll just reduce down until we end up with a lovely dish. Now, some extra flavour, got some fresh herbs. In we go with that, which is some parsley. I'll let that simmer away, and we'll end up with something really lovely. I mean, serve this with, depending on the amount of time you've got. Switch that off now. Depending on the amount of time you've got, you could serve this with a jack potato, pasta. You can reinvent it. You can put kidney beans in here and turn it into a chili. Really, serve it as you wish. Now, what I'm going to do, just to sort of give you an idea, if I move this out of the way for 1 second. So I've got some veggies here. So, in your steamer, some little potatoes and some beans and some greens. Peas also great. Unsung hero, lots of great stuff in there, and protein, so we're getting an extra bit of protein in there. So we can put this in a pie if we want to, but I'm just going to serve this, because this is done now, as a nice, wholesome, warming stew on the side, like that. So, obviously I'd made the veg ahead of time, but what we end up with now is, hopefully you can see that'll be on the steam, a really, easy, wholesome meal, and then you can sort of reinvent it. And you can also freeze this as well, which is really handy. So, it's a main meal. If you're freezing stuff, I'm going to move this out of the way because it's a bit steamy. There we go, that's better. So if you've got that time, and make a little bit extra, and then split it up, and then label it very clearly what it is, and with the cooking instructions on there, and then you can put it in the freezer or in the fridge, so the person that you cater for will be able to reheat these dishes up and then serve them with some fresh veg. And of course, as I said at the start, if you bought some frozen veg, then it just saves all that preparation time. You can get mixed veg together. You just pop them into, if you use a microwave, you can pop them into the microwave, or you could just steam them as you want. It just kind of makes things a little bit easier. But it just, like within 10 minutes or so, you end up with a very nutritious meal, which you can be very welcoming. So that's our mushroom medley. So we've got one other suggestions with this, is to serve it in a pancake. Now the pancake recipe, if you've got time, uses gram flour. Now the reason for using gram flour, it's a vegan pancake, is that gram is a great source of protein as well. So you're kind of like, with little extra bits all add up to make sure that you get all the good stuff that you need. Okay, so we've got that one. So we're going to pop that to one side, and the next recipe, which is even quicker, is tofu scrambled. So if I pull my ingredients over here, now obviously that's the dish that I cooked a moment ago is a main dish. But it may be that when you're visiting your client, that it's breakfast time, or brunch. So you may want to make something else. So let me just switch my cooker on and get this started. So again, a little bit of oil in there. So this is a recipe for scrambled tofu. So it's similar to scrambled egg. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to make without actually using eggs. So this is a vegan dish. It really is very lovely. Now there's lots of versions of this. You can either make it with just tofu. I'll talk about tofu in a minute, and a little bit of paprika. But I want to add something to this. This is the recipe on our website. So I've got half an onion in here, finely diced. Now If you're catering for just one person, you won't put a whole onion in there, but if you buy frozen chopped onions, then you can just take a little bit out and it's ready to go. So let's pop that onion in there, and that can start to do its own thing. I've also got in here some red peppers. Now this is just going to add a little bit of colour to our dish. But if you wanted to just keep it as the basic tofu version, then that is really good as well. We've also got some mushrooms, a bit of a mushroom theme, I think. So in we go with some of our mushrooms too. That's just gonna do its own thing for a few minutes or so. I'm just gonna a little bit more water, sorry, a little bit more oil in there just to get it cooking. So. Tofu. If you're familiar with tofu, it is I think it's a great product. It's becoming. You can find it in the supermarkets, in the refrigerated section, but also you can find it in the ambient section, depending on the product that you buy. Now, tofu is made from soya beans. It's a great source of protein, and often it has calcium in it. I was going to give this a bit of a stir. There we go. There we go, lovely. So, now tofu has got an interesting texture. I'm using the word interesting, as you may imagine. It can be quite, well, it is soft, okay? So, for some people, they're not so keen on it because of its soft texture. However, you can fry it and you can make it crispy, you can turn it into desserts, all sorts of different things. But the basic one has no flavour in it at all. So it's what you add to it that makes the difference. So if you think about, I guess, if you think about a bag of flour, okay, a bag of flour, you don't want to eat raw flour, it's unpleasant. However, you can turn it into all sorts of, I'm going to switch that off, all sorts of wonderful biscuits and cakes and breads and stuff like that, which everybody enjoys. Similarly with the tofu, it's what you add to it that really makes the difference. So, you can use for this flavoured tofu, which is fine, or the plain. And I tend to go for the plain for this one. So you can buy this one, which is a firm tofu, and that's in the fridge. Or you can go for this one, which is silken. Now the silken one is a lot softer, and it will just fall apart. So if you were making a stir fry, then it's important to get the firm one, not that. If you've not used either of these before, it will take a little bit of practice. Have a look on YouTube, you'll find techniques on how to prepare it properly. But I do think it's a lovely thing to have. So my preference for the tofu, for the scrambled tofu, is the softer one. Either work fine. It's just this one. It's just a little bit lighter, and that's the one that I prefer. So pop that one to one side, and let's open this up now. Depending on the brand, sometimes they have a little bit of water in them, but it really is a small amount, and for this I can just put it straight in and it will just crumble, it will just crumble away. There we go. So I'm going to pop this in, and you'll see how, I'll lift this up, how soft it just falls apart like so. Then put the heat back on, and this will take moments to cook. And I'll sort of mix it up. So it's the sort of thing that you'll have, if you'd have like scrambled eggs on toast or something like that. It's a real easy thing to make. Now, to make it look like egg, because it's not quite looking like scrambled egg yet, what I'll need to do is to pop in something to colour it. So I've got a little bit of turmeric on here. That will just add some yellow to it without adding too much flavour. And hopefully, when we bring this all together, you can see it above the steam, it will start to look a little bit like, kind of like I don't know, jazzed up scrambled eggs. Now I don't want to put too much turmeric in, because although it has got some small amount of flavour. It can put too much in, it can just be a little bit overpowering. Now, if you were going to fortify this, you could add a little bit of cream to it, but I'm going to add some soy sauce, which adds some flavour. But I've also got here some Engevita. Now, Engevita is a product which has got B12 in it. So all we do is sprinkle some of that on the top, and it just adds a little bit of extra flavour to that. And it's made from yeast, by the way, made from yeast. And that's it. We are done. If I move this to one side, switch that off, hopefully stop steaming, and you can see. Hopefully the colour is coming through. It is. I know that on this recording it looks a little pale, but it is quite yellow with this. So, and that's it. It's done. Really, it's done. So if you want to put a bit of sour cream in there, you can, but it's done as it is. So you can serve this with some toast, or as I say, if you're coming at breakfast time. You know, it may be that you can sort of use this as part of a proper cooked breakfast. So I've got some of those vegan sausages and baked beans. The margarine obviously is going to be vegan as well, so you want to check those. And also, because we have some mushrooms chopped up for going in here, I've still got some spare, so I'm going to use that. So let's just give this one last stir to make sure that the turmeric is all mixed up, and then carefully, if I can, put some of this scrambled tofu on the top, like that. So there we have. I mean, that really was quite quick. So there we have a really nice alternative to scrambled eggs. So, you know, if somebody's appetite is a little light, this is, you know, very easy to swallow. You may decide that you don't want to put the bits of pepper in there, but I just think it adds those extra bits of colour. You can even put on there, if you fancy, the obligatory bit of parsley on the top as well, just to kind of add that extra tip for the extra, you know, presentation for that. Okay then, well, let's just go over some of the basic points that we've had in this short video. I hope that I've given you a little bit of suggestions on how to cater well for older vegetarians and vegans. First thing, of course, is to talk to the person that you cater for, care for. What do they want to eat? Don't go with any preconceived ideas about what a vegan is or a vegetarian is, but do know the basics. So you do, as you're going, you'll know that they will not want to have a meat in their house. So sometimes I know how these things can happen. You might have your own sandwiches and you bring them. So you obviously be sensitive that you're not going to bring in a pre-made ham sandwich to enjoy with your client. You know, have something that's the same as them. You know, it's their home. They won't want to have that in there. So do be respectful for that. Know the definitions of a vegetarian and a vegan, but kind of, you know, be flexible depending on what that individual wants. If you're not catering for or caring for anyone that's vegan or vegetarian, you soon will be, and there's many people that are reducing the meat that they have in their diet. So it may be that you'll make some of these, you know, like meat-free Monday. You might do this one day a week. So you know, if get on board now, and it'll make life a little bit easier later. Be aware of some of the motivations that somebody has got to become a vegetarian or a vegan. It might be to do with health, it might be to do with welfare for animals, it might be to do with religion, it may be to do with the environment, and these are, you know, these are very, very important issues. So it's not just when you're preparing something for somebody to eat. It's not just like they're fussy and they don't want to have meat in their diet or fish in their diet. You know, there's some real thought out arguments, philosophical arguments, why somebody would be a vegetarian or a vegan. So obviously you're going to be respectful for those. When you're shopping, obviously you've got a whole array of different products that you can buy. get stuff that is easy to prepare, because obviously, you know, your time is going to be short, but also the person that you care for, their time may be short. They may not be able to stand when they're cooking, so obviously you need to sort of make sure that you're buying the products that they can use. So you can get ready-made meals. There's a whole range of vegetarian and vegan ones which you can just pop into the microwave, which are really easy and convenient. You can buy frozen stuff which you can just heat up, like the veg and pre-chopped stuff. It just makes it life a lot easier. Resources wise, have a look at our website beyond this video today, because we've got information on nutrition. We've also got information on we've also got other training courses depending on who you are. So we've got a 101 on there, so it's a basic introduction to catering well for older vegetarians and vegans. We also do in-person training. So I'm just one of the team from Vegetarian for Life. So in terms of the chefs, so we've got a chef in Scotland, and I'm in Manchester, and then there's one in Birmingham and one in London. So it may be possible that we can actually come and provide some actual in-house training for you. So do get in touch if that's something that you're interested in. Well, hopefully I've covered quite a bit. I'm sure there's a few things that I'll remember afterwards, but the key point is to be respectful and to talk to the person that you care for, and so that if you have got time, and I know many people won't have a lot of time in terms of preparing food, but if you have got a few extra minutes, then do have a look on our website. It's got a whole range of recipes on there that you may want to try. But if you have got further questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. You can email us through our website. You'll see the details there, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can, or just give us a quick call at the office, and we'll be able to answer your questions straight away. So I hope you found this useful. So if you've not got a vegetarian client at the moment, or a vegan client, you probably will very soon, so it's certainly worth getting on board as soon as you can. But from me, Alex, one of the roving chefs from Vegetarian for Life, thank you for your attention. Goodbye.